round of arrests, depending on which channel you tune to, the number is between 170 to 247. Many PFI activists, members have been rounded up. In fact, in Delhi, in three places, the bust happened. One of those, Jamia Millia University area, was under Section 144 for a while. I don't know if it is lifted or not. Let's get the latest on the PFI, and also after these arrests, the PFI rank and file seem to be taking aim at RSS and BJP leaders in Tamil Nadu. Is this a good policy for them? We'll have to wait and see, but the police is really, really busy rounding them all up now. And let's hear from Shekhar Iyer ji how he sees the situation and also the lingering tamasha that is taking place in the Indian National Congress. Shekhar ji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskar. Thank you very much, Shekhar ji. Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be back with you and your viewers. Well, the PFI is the big thing that's going on now for the last, I would say, since September the 22nd. And what we are getting to see is, for the first time, such a big nationwide dragnet has been spread against this organization, which has been under the scanner for quite some time. I would say even for almost for 10 years. But it has taken a long time, and everybody is asking the question, why is the action being taken against the PFI now? And what extent is the action successful so far? I think the answer to both the questions lies in the fact that a lot of homework has gone into this action, which is going on in almost 11 states. It's spearheaded by the National Investigation Agency, NIA, India's premier anti-terrorism security agency, as well as by the police anti-terrorism units of the states also. Of course, in Kerala, in particularly, NIA itself undertook the operations because of they wanted to prevent leakage of information, because Kerala is the home ground of the Popular Front of India. I think some of the states have been demanding a ban. I mean, not just the BJP ruled states. Even some of the opposition ruled states had been seeking a ban. In fact, Jharkhand has already banned PFI in their territory. Now, the question is, why did it take such a long time? I think because constantly you had the state governments appealing to the center to act on the PFI. And PFI has not been just targeting BJP and RSS. It has been targeting other political parties also. And for the simple reason, it wants to emerge as the sole voice of the Muslims. And the same objective that the MIM has. But the only difference is PFI has been into a lot of activity which is violation of the law. And the intention is very clear: hold the Muslims back under its banner, sow the seed of insecurity among them, and keep on brainwashing them into believing, particularly the youth, that the community is in great danger in India and the Hindus are out to finish them, and particularly under Prime Minister Modi. This has been the tactics. And ever since Modi government went for triple talaq law, I'm particularly mentioning triple talaq law before the last parliamentary elections, that is 2019, the PFI has been very, very upset, because triple talaq law, I think, completely changed the dynamics of the way the community has been looking at the BJP and the Modi government. Because there were several complaints, particularly about the way the Muslim women were facing a lot of problems because of this practice. Now, with the law coming in and banning that practice, some kind of a churning began to happen in the Muslim society, because hitherto it was thought that the Muslim men decided, how the community would vote. But here, after the triple talaq law, the Muslim women were beginning to feel differently, towards the Prime Minister Modi. And you did see during the 2019 election, in different constituencies, in different pockets of several constituencies, the voting pattern was such that Muslim women in many areas seemed to have voted for the BJP. This was all too disturbing for PFI, which felt that it had to, get the flock back again, and as a reaction to the wave of modernism that seemed to be, trying to touch the community following the triple talaq ban. And one began to see that these PFI agents started operating through the religious teachers, various nondescript madrasas in far-flung areas to bring back the old laws, like particularly hijab. So that's why you saw in Karnataka, in particularly, the hijab making a comeback. I am saying a comeback because in many institutions, some of the institutions were allowing hijab, but there were many which were not allowing, and nobody was bothered. But suddenly you found girls appearing, particularly during the examination time, to with the headgear and saying they had to be permitted. So a narrative was sought to be built, and it was quite successful because you saw then nationwide agitation by the Muslim women in the forefront, and of course the PFI was behind. This is one. But prior to that, we saw PFI behind the action in the after the enactment of the Citizenship Amendment Act. A false narrative was created that this particular act would deprive the genuine Indian Muslims of citizenship, and that propaganda worked so fast. You had a huge sit-in in Delhi, particularly the Shaheen Bagh, where elderly women who are not aware of any current developments or what's happening, were all brainwashed into believing that there is a serious issue concerning them, and that's going to rob them of their homes, their land, of everything. Now, this kind of propaganda work, which the PFI has been very successful, was something that alarmed the government. I mean, you had triple talaq, then you had the citizenship thing, then also the Delhi riots, which was timed with the then US President Donald Trump's visit. That again saw unusual violence. And of late also, last year too, we saw violence in many places in parts of Delhi, where your Ram Navami procession, that is this year actually, Ram Navami processions were attacked for no reason. So you can see how PFI has been adopting the brainwashing as a tool, at the same time taking recourse to violent actions. We saw one similar action during the violence that took place outside the Jamia Millia. I mean, where finally the police had to enter the campus. Of course, that's a very big controversy. Many students were said to have been targeted by police, but then the police had to go in because those who were indulging in violence outside the campus had taken refuge inside. So, you have seen PFI is looking for, fault lines, looking for areas where, and the interesting part, Shri Ayerji, this organization started sometime in 2006. It was in Kerala. But by 2022, that is today, it has spread over to more than 23 states. And of these 23 states, and at least 15 states, they have been indulging in very dangerous activity. So what the government did this time, Shri Iyer, they learned the lessons of the CME ban. The CME ban was imposed, Student Islamic Movement of India. The ban was imposed in 2001. Now, it has been renewed every 5 years. The last ban has been renewed in 2019 also. Now, what they realized was a ban on an organization actually helps many of its the people to go underground. And the CME's network could not be completely exposed or could not be completely investigated. That is why this time they were keeping watch on PFI for a long time, its network, its financial trails, its money laundering activity, its patrons who are outside, most probably in West Asia and other places. So you have now a situation where the investigative agencies had collected a lot of dope on this particular organization. And then finally, on August the 29th, Home Minister Amit Shah held a meeting, which was unpublicized meeting, and where the green signal was given to go ahead. That's why today you are seeing, and many state governments were taken into confidence, irrespective of the parties in power, and National Security Advisor was put in charge, Ajit Doval himself. So he traveled to many places in very unpublicized travel, met with DGPs, particularly the cooperation of Kerala was very important because Kerala is the hotbed of PFI. So therefore, what we are seeing is, first you had a nationwide sweep. Within few hours, the top-ranking leaders of PFI were arrested and flown out from Kerala to undisclosed destinations for investigation. And what we are seeing today, more and more actions are taking place at micro level, where in interior areas of different states, people are being rounded up, particularly in Karnataka. In Uttar Pradesh, particularly 26 districts have been, you are seeing a sweep. So a lot of activity is going on, and surprisingly, the opposition parties are silent. I mean, they cannot possibly welcome it. But you can notice one thing: not a single party has criticized the action on PFI, which is very interesting, except the PFI itself, which says it's a witch hunt by the security agencies and it's against freedom, etc., etc. The usual blah blah blah. But I think this time the kind of homework that has gone into, because normally what happens is you have headline making raids and finally nothing happens. But this time the top ranking ones, and though all those top ranking leaders who are now in the dragnet are actually former members of CB, which goes to show when you just ban an organization, it doesn't help, because they again change the nomenclature and surface as new organizations. And what we are discovering now is that PFI has been also working under different names in the name of, as NGOs, doing some social welfare activities. But the idea is to get deep penetration so that it can control the mind of those masses who can be made to believe that their salvation lies in fighting the Hindus. And of course, the last straw, I would say, was what happened in Jodhpur. After that Nupur Sharma controversy, even that controversy way, it was basically a debate in an English channel. But the way that debate was, the elements of those debates were portrayed and fed across WhatsApp by these activists of PFI, saw a very ghastly incident happening in Jodhpur, where a Hindu tailor was targeted by motivated individuals who owed their allegiance to PFI. I think probably that was a wake-up call. And so what we are seeing is a lot of action on the ground, but a lot of investigation and a lot of homework that has gone in, and a lot of good intelligent tip-offs. Shreyarji.
Now we are also seeing, after the first wave of arrests, there was a lot of targeting of RSS leaders in Tamil Nadu especially. And in a city like Coimbatore, which is not a very big city, it is a reasonably big city, tier 2 city probably, there were at least reports of 15 petrol bombs being thrown, Shekharji. And some of these things were being filled up in open daylight in petrol pumps. I mean, there is CCTV camera footage of somebody brazenly bringing that dark-colored bottle and filling it up with the with the pump, and then taking. So they don't seem to really care that they were also being videographed. So that kind of brazenness comes only when they feel like the local government, which is responsible for law and order, will not act on them. Now, I'm also hearing, Shekharji, this has only been reported by one channel, that among all these bust-ups was one plot to assassinate the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji.
Well, they have been working, because what is also coming to light, though PFI has been constantly denying any involvement with organization like Indian Mujahideen, which is again a very a terror outfit which is out to create trouble here and there. Now, now they are tracing links with Indian Mujahideen. Now, what is happening, particularly in Tamil Nadu, with the arrest of the top leaders, for the first time, the rank and file of PFI, they are suddenly rudderless and they don't know what to do. So you are seeing them spilling over to the streets, which they have never done before, because they have been a very controlled organizations and targeting at specifics. But this time, with the arrest of their leaders, there is an angry mass of these PFI, rank holders who are out on the streets. And Tamil Nadu in particular, there have been Coimbatore, which was, if you recall, there was an attempt at assassination of Lal Krishna Advani ji, way back in the early late 90s, which was to coincide with his rally. They had planted bombs and the bomb went off early, and many people died. So there have been groups there which have been very active there. Coimbatore is considered one of the hotbed of these Islamist groups. But this time, what we are seeing is that not only in Tamil Nadu, it is also happening in some other areas where they are targeting at Tamil Nadu, particularly because there is a DMK government, and they feel brazen to do this because they feel that DMK government dare not touch them because of the fear of the minority vote bank. But I think now the message has gone from the center to the Tamil Nadu police. Now, Tamil Nadu top officials have warned of invoking the National Security Act, which allows for detention without being produced in court for a long time. So I think the DMK government realizes this is not something to do politics with, And Annamalai, the Tamil Nadu BJP chief, has also cautioned his own leaders to be very careful, particularly with public movement, because the whole idea is to terrorize. How dare you touch us, kind of thing. But what is coming clear is PFI did not expect this kind of action would be taken ever. They thought Prime Minister Modi or the BJP government at the center would not dare to act on them. But what we are seeing is definitely, it has been a shock and awe thing. And a lot of credit goes to the National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval, who is an expert in particularly Islamist terrorism, because he has been keeping track for a long time. Despite his age, he took command, and we are seeing a lot of coordinated action on the ground. And those actions, because not just, of course, NIA at the apex level, but you have got the anti-terrorism units in different states, special task forces, because many states government have special task forces to handle this kind of problem. But the fact that they have urged, the state governments to cooperate, and many state governments are actually realizing the dangers of PFI, and without actually a legal ban, what we are seeing is a lot of action on the ground, which was very, very necessary and imperative. Yes, there will be spillover, but at the same time, there are other Muslim groups like Jamaat-e Hind. They are actually welcoming this move. Of course, not Jamaat-e-Islami. Jamaat-e-Islami is again a very hardcore group. So Jamaat-e-Islami is not very happy about this. But definitely other Muslim groups, they are seeing that this is a good cleanup, because whatever PFI was doing was definitely affecting the peace and harmony in several places, because the PFI sees, it wants riots in different places so that the Modi government get discredited, and Muslims can, whoever want to come out of that ghetto mindset which the PFI wants to foster, they can again get back them in, because a lot of Muslims are realizing the dangers of this. But here, a lot more debate is needed within that community, to understand the dangers, because the way the hijab controversy was started, it was made such an innocuous debate, and some of our secular friends, so-called secular friends, fell for it, saying this is all about choices, it's all about, can you believe at a time in Iran there are riots over hijab? Here, you had people who normally speak for secularism and liberal values actually backing these groups. That's a very unfortunate part, because because this hijab thing in what happened in Karnataka and other places was, it's about wearing hijab in school as part of a uniform, where the uniform doesn't allow it. It's a simple thing, but anybody is free to wear hijab outside. There is no issue at all. But the issue was confused in such a way that the rights are being snatched away. I think it's a time, and opposition parties should also, come out and talk more in open about this, because hijab, because what I can see is there is somehow the PFI, an organization like PFI, fear that in case more and more Muslims begin to look at themselves as individuals, and they are looking at the choices before them, even political choices, they fear that these Western groups can no longer have their shop going. As they say in Hindi, "Inki dukaan zyada nahi chalegi."
Thank you very much, Shekhar Iyer ji. And viewers, you may have listened to me or read somewhere about how money laundering is done in India. Once the money arrives in one place, you can stay under the radar, and even you can even do this thing legally from bank to bank. And then there is a breakup, and then there is a restore, or what you call as reassimilation, to put it back into a single amount. So this has been happening for a long time. And so that's why, even though it was thought to be limited to Kerala, suddenly one finds that it is in 23 different places, 23 different states. Shekhar ji, couple of other things before we go on to our next topic. PFI has been using a fairly advanced technology to get its message across. And this is something that is of concern, because whoever is left, who knows what kind of evil geniuses are still left. They could again try and put a new method, which would again, put some blocks in front of them to act. But let us look at the foreign money angle. Shekhar ji, oh, by the way, first viewers, Ask Shekhar is a hashtag for today. Sorry, I didn't say this thing early enough. Shekharji, one question. We have been seeing that there have been links established to 4 countries, uh, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and one other country that escapes my mind. It could be Dubai, but I don't want to take a guess. But looks like the plotting and planning took place in a cafe in Abu Dhabi. Now, suddenly what we are seeing is these tentacles are coming from the source of the funding is coming from somewhere in the Middle East, or Turkey was the other country, I think. Anyway, so the funding is coming from there, and will these countries now be notified? Look, you guys have to act on this.
Of course, I think because you mentioned Turkey, because already the investigations are leading to conclusions that some of the non-state actors of Turkey, in Turkey, like you have non-state actors in Pakistan, because they seem to be also involved, because there is a good reason to suspect that some of the agencies in the neighborhood could also be behind them, because what the information that is coming across is, what we are getting is that spice trade, for instance, spices that is exported from Kerala, or prawns or fish or whatever, some of the normal route of trade are used for this kind of hawala, sending money through hawala. The same thing happened in Jammu Kashmir. Apple trade was a good source of a good cover up. With no apples being exported, money is to come in. So that is how that the whole thing was busted, when action was taken against groups and members of organization like the Hurriyat Conference. The same. I mean, the normal international trade, or the usual import-export business, is used as a cover, and many a times nothing is exported or nothing is imported, but the money is transferred. I think that's the thing that has been under the scanner for some time, and the result that today, not just the main organization, but the supporting ones, and those who are only involved in the money network, they are also being tracked, and they are also being arrested, because it's important, because a lot of those who are involved only in the transfer of money are not involved in the acts of terrorism, but they aid in the act of terrorism. So it's very important those people are also tracked down, and which is what is happening now. Now, this particular action will have a political fallout, in the sense, for the first time, we are seeing a determined action by the government, because the talk is, if the Modi government cannot act against all these, then who else will? In fact, the criticism was, why is Modi government delaying, a ban on PFI? So that question has been rather answered, because that the ban will come, ban can come anytime, but it can be declared an unlawful organization, etc. But it is needed that we actually, because this is also called Operation Octopus, but you need to see its tentacles. You need to see, where is this multi-headed Hydra, the monster, So which are the heads, which are the supporting units, which are operating on the ground, which are on the sly? I think a lot of homework has to be done, and several agencies are coordinating, from economic intelligence, revenue intelligence. A lot of intelligence units are at work, and it looks like we are seeing a major crackdown on the Popular Front of India. Shreyaji.
Thank you so much, Shekharji. And I think that kind of takes us to a point where we can park this discussion, can come back to it in a few weeks' time, because I believe, and I think Shekharji will agree with me, that this is chapter 2 of a long story. I think there may be more such stories, because each bust will give more information for them to act on, and that in turn will lead to more things. The thing that they needs to be careful now is make it very hard for the remaining people to go underground. I don't know how that is done. I mean, I'm just saying that is one of the challenges that is facing Ajit Doval and Amit Shah. So we just wanted to take a look at the challenges that this duo are facing today. Money laundering. Then you have people going underground all the time. Then you have situations like the petrol bomb, where they're creating unrest. Then sometimes what happens is they can make a riot on its own, and make that as if it is the other side which is instigating it. So all sorts of things are like this are happening. What do you think the control center, which consists of probably some really smart individuals, are thinking now to keep this thing under control? At the same time, the innocent are not punished.
Well, Shri, I think the problem is, the organizations like PFI thrive on social fault lines. I mean, they look for some event or a particular development, and then allow it, and then use it to, convince their folks or new folks about, why they are in danger, what is the future. For instance, I believe, the Supreme Court judgment on Babri Masjid, it was largely welcomed by the Muslim leadership. I mean, excepting few pockets of people who were upset that, they had to, the Babri Masjid had to shift to some other place. A new land was given, and Ram Temple is coming up there. But that was one place where, the PFI went active. Similarly, the developments related to Ganwapi Mosque, there again, which gives them, kind of ammunition to say, look, oh, this, look, again another thing is happening. So I think we need to see that our public debates on, issues, because issues like Ganwapi, these are legal issues, they will keep coming. But we need to see that in all these debates, we take care to ensure that those issues are debated on the basis of legal points raised, rather than, allow them to go overboard, because which actually helps organizations like PFI. Because the PFI is also not just looking at uniting Muslims, it also has another grand plan, which is to, somehow try to get the Dalits on their side. That's why, when the Hathras happened, you saw PFI activists were very active. They wanted to go there, they wanted to make it a big issue, because this is also an old formula which our Asauddin OICs also often talks about, Muslims plus Dalits, because they feel that Muslims alone cannot be mobilized against, for the sake of winning elections. You need to get the Dalits along. So issues which involve Dalits, issues which involve Muslims, they need to be more carefully handled in the public space, so that these people are not allowed to exploit it. I think that's very important. I'm saying this because a lot of our social media debates, that the things tend to get overbound, and things are said without realizing the provocation, because these groups are also using the social media, and without a rhyme or reason, things are twisted, things are morphed to say things that have not happened. I think that is where the bigger danger is, that they are not able to convince new people. That's very important. And at the same time, one must say that the lot of Muslim organizations have welcomed this action on the PFI, which is again a very positive sign. Nobody is playing the victim card excepting the PFI itself. I think those are very positive signs, and there is a faith that the government, because after all, whatever action is taken against anybody, finally these issues will be brought before the court. So there's definitely a justice delivery system which is there in our country. So people must be made to realize that everything is being done under the law, and nobody will be allowed to exploit the situation, because largely PFI plays mind games, Shri Ayerji. Of course, they do indulge in terror acts on the ground when finally it has arrived, because the initial stage, as the Naxalites used to say, what is called the organization stage. The organization stage is to get involved, get sympathizers for them, because PFI has also been working, through its outlets in the media to win support for its cause. This has been happening in the name of secularism, in the name of protecting the rights of the minorities. So there is a lot of war in the mind space, which needs to be countered also effectively, because and that is where I think people who call themselves secular, people who think that they are opposed to the groups like the RSS or the BJP, they too also must realize that they are not playing in the hands of these groups like PFI, which is actually using the mind space to begin with as a part of the organizational state, because later they can do other things. But the very fact that they started out in Kerala in 2006 saying that they are different from Simi and India Mujahideen, and today they are spread all over. I mean, they are there. Otherwise, why would riots break out in Rajasthan of all places, and where PFI activists were found very active? So I think a lot of caution is necessary, where our other social groups and other groups can also play a good role in seeing that nobody is allowed to misguide, or or allowed to put the fear of insecurity in sections of the minority community.
So I think that kind of puts a full stop on our discussion on PFI. and what is going to happen there. Certainly a lot of work, tremendous work done to round up all these elements. Now let us take a look at what is happening in the Indian National Congress, especially in its Rajasthan camp. So according to the latest information, observers from Delhi have gone to Rajasthan and they have decided to discipline 3 aides of Ashok Gehlot. So if you have not followed this conversation of mine with R. Rajagopalan, I think yesterday morning, the thing is like this. There are 3 claimants to the throne. One is the existing CM. Then the existing CM wants to have his man perhaps as the successor while he goes on to become the president of the party. This is my surmise. And Shekharji, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The 3 top leaders of Rajasthan are Mr. C.P. Joshi, his senior, Ashok Gehlot, and then Sachin Pilot. Now, for the longest time, the rivalry was between C.P. Joshi and Ashok Gehlot. In, I think, 2008, when the Congress won a majority, C.P. Joshi himself lost his assembly election, and that was shown as the reason to usher in Ashok Gehlot as the chief minister. Since then, Ashok Gehlot has managed to keep him away. Now, Sachin Pilot tried to usurp the throne and he failed. He almost left camp. He's come back, but he's also looking out, I guess, looking out. And now it appears that Sachin Pilot is his main adversary and his next adversary is C.P. Joshi. And it looked like Ashok Gehlot wanted C.P. Joshi to become the chief minister. This is all reading tea leaves, Shekharji. I don't know if this is true or not. So in all this, tell us what happened from what you can see.
Well, Shriyarji, as of now, the Operation Salvage has started because, last evening, the Congress observers whom Sonia had sent to get that one-line resolution approved by the Congress Legislature Party that, she is authorized to choose the successor to Ashok Gehlot. Now what has happened, the Operation Salvage goes like this. Ashok Gehlot has spoken to Sonia Gandhi and has apologized on behalf of those MLAs. That's one. Number 2, these observers who had gone there, Ajay Maken and Mallikarjun Kharge, they have given a report completely, blaming only those 2 ministers who had the meeting of this and completely absolving Ashok Gehlot of any involvement in the trouble. I mean, this kind of patch-up is going on. Now,
falling on the sword.
Yes, because now they realize that, things have gone out of control. Now the Congress High Command, I mean the family, in other words, the Congress family, they need to get back their authority. Of course, they are. I mean, one can see that they will be very, very angry with what has happened. But also at the same time, now there is one post in the Congress, that is the post of the Congress president. And Shreya, you won't believe, nobody wants to take that post. Even Ashok Gehlot, see, he was very reluctant to come here. He said he is willing to take it up only if he was allowed as CM. But then other leaders like Digvijay Singh raised the issue of one man, one post. And then Rahul also said, yes, he has to give up. And suddenly they remembered that leaders like Priyanka Gandhi had assured Sachin Pilot when he had revolted and gone and brought him back, saying that just before the election, they would effect a leadership change and make him CM. Now, Sachin Pilot's case is also very, look at his case. He was the Congress president who crafted, good credit should go to him for crafting the victory in 2017, 2018. But then he was not made the chief minister, though he was projected as the CM. Finally, it was a old fox like Ashok Gehlot who became CM. Since then, he and his people have been very upset. That's why you saw in 2020 there was a revolt, and that is why the Ashok Gehlot's people said anybody can become CM, but not Sachin Pilot or anybody from his camp who had worked with tandem to with BJP to pull down this. Now that apart, the funny thing is, here is a classic case where we are seeing Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and Priyanka Gandhi. They go about finding a solution for a problem which becomes a bigger problem than actual, because the fundamental problem here is Rahul Gandhi's reluctance to become Congress president again, at least for now. So the search was for a Congress president. So that finally led them to Ashok Gehlot. And from there, now the story has become, the problem is now who will be the Congress chief minister, and a chief minister who has to lead the party to elections, next year, end of next year. Now, Ashok Gehlot because Ashok Gehlot feels that Sachin Pilot, their chemistry never improved despite Sachin Pilot coming back. So, and Interestingly, as I said, Operation Salvage is on by both sides. The Congress High, because Ashok Gehlot had spoken to Sonia Gandhi, and the observers in their written report have accepted Ashok Gehlot's version that he was completely unaware of what was happening, what his MLAs were doing, what his supporters were doing, because he had gone to a religious place very close to the India-Pakistan border. So he was not at all aware, but nobody is believing it, because the message had to go to the Congress High Command that they could not impose Sachin Pilot. That message has been done. Now, how do they further salvage it? We do not know. And in between, you have the nominations are to open for the post of the Congress president. Nobody is interested. Sonia Gandhi has now called A.K. Antony, who is the chairman of the disciplinary committee, to Delhi, because they want to see that they are caught between some priorities. Whether the priority is to ensure there is a smooth transition in Rajasthan, or is the Congress presidential election is somehow conducted smoothly, because I don't know what is their priority, because there are a lot of jumbled up things. Or they have to show their authority by acting against those who had questioned Sonia Gandhi's right to impose Sachin Pilot on them. So there are a lot of conflicting ideas going on, priorities going on. There is a lot of confusion, but at the same time, Gehlot's people are not willing to give up, because they cannot accept Sachin Pilot. Though we are seeing some of them, a few MLAs who are with Gehlot are now probably seeing that Ashok Gehlot could, succumb to pressure. But then Ashok Gehlot, because the way they are, some people are fearing, his camp is fearing is Ashok Gehlot loses chief ministership and does not become Congress president also. That scenario is also possible. But then we are back to that old musical chair, where people are again mentioning Mukul Vasnik, Mallikarjun Kharge. Of course, Shashi Tharoor happens to be the only candidate, but he is also looking for 10 people to back him, the 10 delegates who are required to back his nomination. But it has become such a non-serious. I think the whole problem would have been solved if Rahul Gandhi had only accepted to become Congress president again. That was the original problem. Now it has become multiple problems have come. This can be only a patented property of Gandhi family to create, to have a problem which becomes bigger than the original problem. And the bigger thing, Shri Iyerji, this time the legislators who supported Gehlot's continuation did not mince words in conveying that we will not allow another Punjab to happen in Rajasthan, which means they squarely blame the Gandhi Parivar for the best in Punjab, where Amrinder Singh was removed unceremoniously, and when Chenni was brought, and before that Navjot Singh Sidhu was made PCC chief. Of course, Sidhu is cooling his heels in the jail, serving his term as per the Supreme Court verdict in that the road rage case. Now, this kind of thing at a time when and all this has taken away focus from the so-called successful yatra of Rahul Gandhi, Bharat Jodo Yatra, which is doing 18 days in Kerala. It is still in Kerala. He's happy walking with boys, playing football on the road, in talking to young people. He thinks great thing is happening in Kerala. But then here in Rajasthan, in Delhi, in other places, it's a quite a pathetic scene, because the party leaders are upset that why is the family under the sway of people like Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi and who are letting things to come to such a pass, why have a problem in the place and then go about setting it? As they say, there is a saying in Tamil, why you hit the dog, then you have to manage its fallout inside your house. So similarly, here, same thing is happening.
Well, that would be nice to share it in Tamil itself, so some of our viewers can understand, those who understand Tamil. I didn't get the Tamil equivalent, so if you could kindly share that, sir.
Well, I would not want to, but it is this. Nai adipane piya somapane. Why do you thrash the dog? Then you have to clean up that shit. The same thing has happened here. Why do you do this? Because see, it was very clear that Gehlot was enjoying the confidence of a majority number of MLAs. More than 85, 90 people are still supporting him. And the problem with Sachin Pilot was he could not command support more than 20. We saw during the time when he revolted also, when he had taken them to a resort in Haryana. The BJP ruled Haryana. At that time, it was clear. But the funny thing, Shri Iyer ji, even this time, when both Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot had met Rahul Gandhi during the Bharat Jodo Yatra in Kerala, And when Sachin Pilot, when Gehlot was saying, look, this is the problem. So Rahul Gandhi advised Sachin Pilot to go back to Jaipur and try to win some of the MLAs to his side. Go and speak to MLAs and get support. I mean, these are. I mean, those who know, and also these observers like 𝙒𝙖𝙦𝙤𝙦 who went there, who have been in charge of the state, were they not aware of those? What was the feelings of this year and the manner in which 𝙒𝙦𝙦𝙦 went about trying to enforce the High Command fiat? The problem is the authority of the Gandhis are eroding day by day. That has come out very clear. Since you can no longer win elections because winnability factor, of the family or the family's ability to get people elected to assembly or parliament was the only reason why Indira Gandhi remained unquestioned leader. To a great extent, Rajiv Gandhi was. But beyond that, this problem is there. If you can't help your party win elections, your authority, your political authority as a leader of the party, it gets diminished day by day, and that has happened. And this open revolt, I can see after what you saw in Goa, people leaving the party and joining the BJP. This could be happening in other states too. And all the while, I do not know if Congress is aware that there are elections coming up in Gujarat and in Himachal Pradesh, because these are bound to have a big impact in these states. Because when it comes to distribution of ticket, pickup, selecting candidates, so there are a lot of things, and it's in a way, what is happening to an opposition party, an old opposition party, unfortunate in terms of for the Indian democracy, because a vibrant opposition party and a performing ruling party are a good combination for what I would say is for people to see the alternatives available before them and for a good debate. But that's not happening anywhere.
Thank you very much, Shekhar ji. And now let's take some questions for our esteemed guest. Sir, how do they have such strong hold in South, PFI?
Well, Kerala, particularly northern parts of Kerala, has been, where the Muslims are doing very well in business, and they are educated too, and there is a strong, I would say, one can say the atmosphere there has been such for some time, where the Islamist ideology has been gaining ground, and I mean it is not gaining ground in the where you find poor Muslims in the north. It's gaining ground among those who are well off. That is where you find people are getting attracted to ISIS. There have been number of Kerala Muslim youth who have attempted to go and join the ISIS. I mean, we have seen those instances. So North Kerala has seen Muslim community doing very well. So in terms of economy, in terms of money available for this kind of activity has been there, and also the Wahhabism has been drawing a lot of attention in those parts where you can see that there is a lot of indoctrination going on, and that Wahhabism is also spreading to other parts of South. Because why I'm saying this, like say in Tamil Nadu, where you have seen that in the mosques in Tamil Nadu, the Quran is read in Tamil. It used to be read in Tamil, but there is a lot of emphasis now that it should be read in Arabic. Similarly in Kerala, constantly the message is given, look, we need to get back to our original format. We need to get back to our... So this is part of that Wahhabism influence, which is happening in the South. And this can be said in a region around Hyderabad also, where, the whole attempt is to prevent dilution, and the fear is that the flock, if not kept together like this by force and heavy indoctrination, they could tend to, begin to accept the other ideas, the other modern ideas, other true secular ideas, which they fear, will lead to a dilution of their purpose, their dilution of the politics of the region. That is why this is happening in the Kerala particularly, because of the financial well-being of the people involved there. That's why they are able to open, offices in other parts of the country. Because even for terrorism, even for indoctrination, even for this kind of propaganda, you need a lot of money. Because without money, nobody even can take up the cause of any religion or so-called religious faith or belief. But this is happening. And in Kerala particularly, there has been no meaningful debate. And PFI, we must remember, has a political wing, SDPI. SDPI has been very active, Shreyarji, even in Delhi, because I can see SDPI flags, in many parts, in many slums of Delhi, which is a new phenomena, because They want to challenge the hold of other parties who claim themselves to be secular and try to win the Muslim vote. They want to fill up the gap there and tell them, look, we are the real representatives. So SDPI has been very active, the political arm of the PFI. So you can see there is a lot of money, there is a lot of motivation, and there is a sense of financial backup, which is very important for such activities.
Shekharji, just out of left field question for you. Will India now tell Qatar to go, that we are withdrawing whatever apology we gave? Because they are now a source of terrorism that is afflicting India.
Well, I do not know whether in diplomatic terms those things are done, but definitely the message will go across, because we have already
It will be leveraged in a different way. It will be leveraged in a different way.
Yes, leveraged in a different way. And also, the fact that Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, they have been appreciating the Prime Minister Modi's efforts to combat terrorism, and they are not at all encouraging anybody on their soil. And UAE in particular has been handing over a lot of people who are on our wanted list, whether they are terrorist activities or those who are involved in huge financial money laundering. UAE has been cooperating with us. So therefore, I think on the diplomatic side, where we see whether if the official agencies are involved, of course, now the new name that is coming up is Turkey. I do not know how the Turkish government will react to Indian request in this regard, but then a lot of information and a lot of evidence will definitely be gathered, and those information and details will be brought to the attention of the government in Turkey, because Turkey is also seeing a lot of turmoil, and there are groups in Turkey, as I said, non-state actors who are encouraging this kind of Islamist groups in other parts of the world.
Well, it's time for India to rake up the Kurds issue in Turkey. I mean, this is the only way these guys will listen. You can't just like that say we will give you dossier after dossier after dossier and hope that these people will stop. It's very, very sad. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Let's go to the next question. Sean wants to know, what was Doval's role? Some say that he was a hindrance to these raids, and while others are praising him to high heavens.
No, in fact, there were reports before all this happened that Doval could take a retirement. He is going to be 78 soon. And the reports were that, he could soon have a national security advisor. But I don't think those reports had any basis, because he enjoys the confidence of the Prime Minister, and he has a cabinet minister's rank, and he is an excellent intelligence security expert. That is the reason why the Prime Minister Modi has kept him. So, and also his understanding and his network in the countries where the Islamist forces are active is very good, and he has been coordinating this action, because his ability to put together a kind of ground action is considered to be very professionally thorough. That is the reason why Amit Shah wanted Doval himself to take charge. And earlier when we had the problem of Tablighi Jamaat, during the COVID period, a lot of people stayed there. Then Doval himself went and spoke to them. And similarly, with the Delhi riots happened, when it appeared that probably things were not coming under control, Doval was out on the street himself with the top police officers. So Doval has a reputation as an intelligence officer who is an action man, who is a field man. He's an operations man. So therefore, I think the Doval's role is very important, and Doval has been briefing the Prime Minister also the extent of these operations, and the fact that they are still continuing and we are continuing to see rounding up of people goes to show a lot of things are tumbling out of skeletons of these groups. I mean, from the cupboard of these groups.
Next question, please. Tarun Balaji wants to know, do you think booth-wise data of voting released for election is in violation of privacy, and will it stand a chance in Supreme Court? It's a very good question. I have been concerned about this, Shekharji. What happens is, when a particular community is the majority vote caster in a booth, then anybody who defies the whip, sort of they have a whip of their own, they're targeted afterwards. So they're scared. So instead of giving booth-wise data, why can't the Election Commission take the total constituency and give that like a totalizer?
This is one problem where, intimidation of voters, you're bringing out the issue intimidation of voters. But
Yes,
political parties, today, including the BJP, they
they want
employ
it.
a lot of scientific management, who voters who have not voted for them. In fact, this time BJP is concentrating on 144 constituencies where BJP came second, where they lost many seats by narrow margin, and those require data from the booths. And BJP is the only party which has an effective booth management. I mean, not just areas which you just mentioned, but all over the country. The booth level data is important for these parties, which employ very, very scientific management techniques to reach out to voters who have not voted for them. So I do not see, the major political parties, agreeing for any kind of clamp down on the data, because they would need those data for, drawing up their strategy for winning many of the parliamentary seats which they had not won before, and they hope to do so in 2024.
Next question, Rajat wants to know, did RSS chief meet Muslim leaders to get support on this?
You mean support on the action on PFI?
Yes,
No,
yes, yes, that's what it is.
no, I don't think so, because as far as my understanding goes, the RSS Sarsanchalak Mohan Bhagwatji, the RSS has been looking at opportunities for engaging in a dialogue. I mean, this is something that is why, when the Gyanvapi massacre happened, or even before that, Babri Masjid, when the Babri Masjid judgment came, the RSS instructed its affiliate units not to do any celebration, you know, that let it not appear that, we are going overboard and celebrating, and the Supreme Court verdict in favor of Ram Temple, because there were specific messages not to go overboard, not to make it a big celebration, and if people want to celebrate it, they can do it. But as an organization, because the idea is, because RSS realizes, because if you attend any of the RSS meetings, nowhere is there any a particular narrative against Muslims with this, because I have covered the Swayam Sevak activities, I have seen how the RSS functions. They never do that. Rather, they feel that it is important at this time, and we know that the Sarsab Chalak Mohan Bhagwatji and Prime Minister Modi, they have a good working equations. So there are times when, like this, when you are seeing, the Ram Temple is coming up there. There are organizations like PFI on whom action is being taken. It is important that there is a dialogue, and the dialogue with, cross section of the Muslim organization, because there is another debate going on. Why did Bhagwat only choose this 5 or 6 individuals of the Muslim community? And similarly, those who are upset with these meetings are raising the question, who are these people to represent the Muslim community? So the idea is a dialogue is necessary, samvad, as they say, so that, it is important that already, the RSS has units like Rashtriya Muslim Manch, which has been talking to Muslim leaders, Muslim youth, so that a lot of misconceptions, because the RSS concept is, it's important that Indians unite in the name of this country, unite in the name of this nation, and understand that how we all share a common heritage and a common future. And that is why it is important that this dialogue is continued at a social level, at a cultural level. That's why I see Mohan Bhagwatji's action, is very specifically on this. I can say, for one instance, when the UPA government created the bogey of Hindu terrorism, among the person who was most worried was, Mohan Bhagwatji. Because I know for a fact, because during those days I was working for Hindustan Times, I had an interaction with Mohan Bhagwatji. He told me personally that, in fact, if this is true, if indeed there is a phenomenon of Hindu terrorism, that Hindus are taking to terrorism, that we are concerned. And in fact, he had sought details from the police officer Hemant Karkare, who unfortunately died in the 9/11 attacks in Bombay. And Mohan Bhagwatji wanted to be convinced that there are indeed groups who are doing this. But then we know that what happened to this whole cases involving Hindu terrorism, how subsequently it became such a political issue, because in order to do some equivalence, or trying to do some balancing act, UPA government, particularly Chidambaram as Home Minister, and they had come up with this concept of Hindu terrorism. So why I'm mentioning this is because Mohan Bhagwatji and other RSS leaders are very, very concerned that there should not be, a continuous rift in the relationship between Hindus and Muslims at large. Both sides need to work together. The particularly leaders of the community need to work together. They must understand each other. And RSS believes in a dialogue to understand what is its concept of nationhood, which is being misunderstood, which is being unnecessary fears are created. This is their conviction. I mean, I would say one may agree with it, one may not agree with it, but that's how RSS looks at this. So this dialogue, this process has nothing to do with any particular But then, when issues like Gyanvapi come, when tomorrow a grand temple is inaugurated in Ayodhya, it is necessary that our Muslim brothers and sisters also feel involved in what is happening, and so that any efforts to further cause alienation among the communities is prevented. Shreyaji.
Next question from Kaushik. Seeman and Thiru are victim bashing BJP and RSS for this petrol bomb. Why doesn't Tamil Nadu BJP RSS pull them both to court?
Yes, I think they should. And of course, Seeman, is looking for his own space in Tamil Nadu. I mean, his party, they came third or fourth in many of the constituencies, but then they have not been making any hay. And his problem is other parties accuse him of being soft on BJP when it comes to Seeman. Of course, Tirumavalavan has his own track, and he and Rahul Gandhi are great friends. And I think Tirumavalavan is also busy telling Rahul Gandhi that they should be wary of the DMK before the next Lok Sabha elections. That is also a dimension. These small parties and their leaders, they are looking for their own space. So therefore, some of the statements that they make, of course, make for headlines in Tamil papers and Tamil television. But then the BJP in Tamil Nadu has been, particularly under Annamalai, has been doing a phenomenal job, because they have been, in fact, the latest controversy in Tamil Nadu is going to be, for the first time, Tamil Nadu is going to see the annual Vijayadashami parade by the RSS workers. They went to the Madras High Court and got a permission. So, and some people are even trying to get a stay on that.
Last question. Goblet Fire wants to know, Sanjay Dixitji on Jaipur Dialogues said that many other Muslims are opposing PFI because they have some different beliefs of Islam, not because they disapprove of their actions. Your thoughts?
No, but see, I mean, there could be individuals who may have their own agenda, but I think by and large, the Muslims, particularly those who are educated, those who realize that their future is in this country, future is in the peace and amity among the communities, they do not approve of violence. Shreyaji, I can speak because I have a lot of friends who tell me that, because these only encourage equally extremism on the other side, because somewhere along this has to be put an end. Because when you have people who claim themselves to be saffron extremists, because they are also doing no good, because every time when somebody wears a saffron a turban or a saffron shawl and goes about harassing some people in the name of religion or cow protection, that does not do good to others, because every saffron clad person does not belong to the RSS or the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. Similarly, there are groups who have their own ideas, but that is not reflective of the community at large, because a lot of them are still looking at issues like bread, butter, and security, job, education. These are the real issues, and they can be solved or can be tackled only if there is communal amity. And this is the point that the Prime Minister, when he comes with his slogan, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vishwas, and Sabka Prayas, that itself shows that the spirit has to be, that is why I see when Mohan Bhagwat engages in a dialogue with Muslim leaders, with Muslim groups, it is essentially to, back up the Prime Minister's call, because Prime Minister and the RSS Chief are working together to see that, when great things are happening in this country now, we should not be waylaid by these vested groups.
Thank you very much, Shekharji. That was a wonderful conversation, and you shared your thoughts very candidly. And I think we are able to see a lot more things clearly after listening to you, sir. Thanks once again, and we'll be back again. Usually, Shekharji joins us on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. So mark your calendars. Monday nights are Abhijit nights, Tuesday nights are Shekharji nights, and soon to be Friday nights will be Sandeep Balakrishna nights. You have a cracker of a show coming up on Friday. Tomorrow we'll be having Xavier Rodriguez about the Christians of India. That's also going to be a very good show. So do tune in 8 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you very much, Shekharji. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shri.